In 1924, the prison held its most famous resident, a man called Adolf Hitler. Hello and welcome back to my 5th day here on my Bavarian trip. And today I'm going to the town of Landsberg am Lech. And as long as the weather holds out, we'll get up to the prison and the Nazi war cemetery. That all depends on the weather. So let's catch a train to Lansberg. Well, I'm here in Landsberg am Lech, and it's still not raining, which is a bonus. €10.20 for a return ticket on the train from Bucklow. Journey only took 25 minutes, and that's with a change of trains at Kaufering. When I got off the train, it was nice to see those old railway carriages parked up. So many stations do have them here in Germany, which is quite nice to see. But the first thing I want to see is the weir on the River Lech. It's just ahead of me here. Looks absolutely incredible. I don't know if this camera's picking up the sound of the water, but it's a really wonderful sound. Just turn the camera around. Yeah, this is the River Lech. Now, I was on the River Lech yesterday in Fussum. This is about 30 miles downstream, or upstream I think it is. It's 30 miles away. Geography is not my strong point when it comes to rivers, but it's rather lovely here. See the back end of the town and the coloured houses and the bridge. Absolutely beautiful. Do love visiting places which have water, rivers, canals, and of course coastal towns. And to visit an old historic town with a weir, it's really rather nice. So let's cross over the bridge and head into town and see what we can discover on the way up to the prison. It's rather pleasant just walking around the weir and the river, looking at the ducks, watching the water flow. Really rather pleasant. But this is the Katharina Brook, or Catherine's Bridge. And on the right hand side is another tower. Well, I passed quite a few towers in my travels here in Germany. But this is called the Jungfernsprungturm, or the Maiden Jump Tower. And the story goes that in 1633 some women and girls jumped off the tower into the river to avoid the atrocities committed by the Swedish army during the 30 Years' War. Now the tower's a little way from the river, so maybe these ladies did jump, but probably not into the Lech. But a sad story if it's true. But yeah, sad story. But let's head on a little further into town. Well, further, let's go into town, I should say, and see what we can discover about the history of the sites of Landsberg am Lech. crossed over the bridge, and I've discovered another fantastic building with some amazing artwork on the outside. Very reminiscent of the building in Memmingen I saw a few days ago. This one's absolutely brilliant. So was that one. It's part of the music school, I think. There's a little door on the side of the building by the statue, which says sing you Musica Schoola. Music school. So I guess it might be part of that. I don't know. But it's beautiful from the outside. Just across the way is the Rathaus. Very elaborate building on the outside. Built in 1719. And the Marienbrunnen, St. Mary's Fountain. That dates from 1783. It's absolutely beautiful. It's really lovely there, lots of little stalls selling fruit and veg, cheese and fish and other produce. Really rather pleasant. And so is the town as well, apart from the noise of the traffic. But just up ahead is the Schmalzturm, or the Sun Tower. Actually nicknamed the Schmalzturm, called the Lard Tower, because the ladies here of the market, back in medieval times, used to sell their wares outside the tower here, including lard. So they got the nickname of the Lard Tower. Dates are around 1260. What I've come to see is on the wall of the tower, and there's a cannonball embedded in the wall. Now this is left over from the Napoleonic era in 1795 or thereabouts. The town was occupied by Napoleonic forces, and according to the history books, they didn't treat the people of Landsberg too brilliantly. And most cruel and unkind. And just 30 years earlier, of course, the Swedish army were in the town, and they committed atrocities as well, according to the history books. But it's lovely to see a cannonball up on the wall. So I spotted one the other day in Memmingen, which was lovely to see. It's only the second one I've seen. This is the third. First was in Weymouth in England last year. Absolutely lovely to see a piece of history actually embedded in the wall of the tower. Let's go through the tower and have a look on the other side. Really is lovely, a very villagey feel here. But there's a statue just ahead. Let's go and take a look at that before I get run over by the traffic. Oh, there we go. And this is quite an interesting little water feature here. It's called the Brunnen, or the actually I don't know what Ruthenfest translates as. It's a festival. It goes back to I think 1792. Teachers and school children collecting willow and hazelnut rods, twigs, for use in school or something. It was a symbol of teaching. My history of German customs is not good, I'm afraid. So if you happen to know what Ruthenfest, more details of that, then please leave it in the comments section below and let me know. If you're interested to find out more, it's quite a delightful little statue as well. It really is. But let's head on further and try and find another of these, because there should be another one of these entrance gates into the town, and also the church as well. So we'll go and take a look at that on the way up to the prison. I've been walking around for most of the morning. It's nice to sit down and take the weight off my feet. Found this delightful little cafe just by the church, the Stadtparkkirche Maria Himmelfahrt. It's quite a name. Translates as the parish church of the Assumption of the Virgin Mary. Himmelfahrt translates as heaven travel. Himmel is heaven, and fahren from the verb fahren, to go. So Himmelfahrt or Himmelfahrt, to travel to heaven. And it's a beautiful church, absolutely beautiful church. And so is this cafe as well. Got a nice little slice of, I think it's raspberry cake. Oh, lovely, absolutely wonderful. And I got a cappuccino as well. Started drinking up more coffee recently, which is rather nice. That tastes good. And it tastes even better because it's been sponsored. So thank you to Andreas, who went onto the Buy Me a Coffee link, which you'll find in the description, and purchased a coffee for me, which was lovely. So thank you, Andreas, that's kind of you. And if you'd like to get a mention on my channel, then do as Andreas did and go onto the Buy Me a Coffee link and purchase a coffee. And Andreas also has his own YouTube channel. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me giving him a little plug. It's called English Grave, and he goes around municipal churchyards and church cemeteries looking at graves of the famous people and those people from British history who have achieved notable things during their lifetime. And it's one of my favourite channels. It really is excellent. I'll leave a link in the description below. And thank you, Andreas, for purchasing a coffee. But the church really is quite beautiful. Actually, it was first mentioned back in 1219. But the current church actually dates from 1458. So I'm going to go inside in a minute and take a look. But first, I'm going to finish my delicious slice of cake and my cappuccino. Church inside there was absolutely fantastic. Interior decor, just amazing. The opulence of the altar must have cost a fortune when it was installed all those years ago. Craftsmanship that went into it really is just incredible. And some of the stained glass windows, absolutely beautiful to look at. And the statues around the side of the wall depicting the saints. Jacob up there and Matthias and Judas. Absolutely wonderful. Again, quite different to other churches that I've visited in Germany, especially on this trip. Well worth going in and having a look. It's such a beautiful old town as well, it really is. And the sun's come out as well, finally making an appearance. There's some blue sky. When I nipped into the church, it was starting to rain, but hopefully I'm going to finish the rest of the day with some sunshine. Been dodging the showers all day, and yesterday as well down in Fussen. But the forecast is sunshine and showers again for tomorrow as well. But I haven't had the rain that was originally forecast. Should have been absolutely pelting it down all day yesterday and today. So I've been very lucky with the weather. I just hope that trend continues. But here we've got another of the old entrance gates into the town. This is the Backertor. Backertor. Dates from 1435. Might be Backertor. which means Baker's Gate. It's really rather pleasant here, gosh. And onto the river Lech. You see a water wheel as well on my left-hand side. That's absolutely lovely, absolutely delightful. Yeah, Backertor is a sign on the side, so it's the Baker's Gate. Backertor. Baker's Gate, yeah. There's a lot of shops in the town selling bread. There's a lot of cafés as well selling cakes. That's more important. Cakes are more important than bread. Marie Antoinette famously said, "Let them eat cake." And I do. I like my cakes. This is lovely here. This is very sort of villagey. There's another gate here ahead of me. Let's have a look at this one. Backertor. Dates from 1520, 1530. Not sure what Backertor means. Well, it's not in my vocabulary. Something tower. Not in my vocabulary, but it's lovely here. It really is. Quite pleasant. But I head on now and cross over the river, and to find a little castle. There's a little castle apparently over the river. So I'm going to try and find that on the way up to the prison. And I'll tell you a story there about Adolf Hitler. This is rather nice. Beautiful footbridge here, crossing the River Lech. Absolutely lovely. And clear waters as well. Absolutely lovely. Again, I'm doing all the free things today. And I'm having so much fun just walking around the town, just looking at the sights and the landmarks and the history. All the free attractions. It's quite possible to have some great days out and not spend vast amounts of money on overpriced tourist attractions. It really is so much more fun, I think, just walking around on spec and discovering new things, especially the things that the tourist guides don't mention. It really is lovely. But the views over from the bridge overlooking the river, it's just lovely, it really is. But I can see the tower of the little castle just off to my left, so I'm going to have a look at that on the way up to the prison. Found myself back on the river path again. I was this morning, but a bit further downstream. It's absolutely beautiful here, especially now the sun is shining. Really is rather pleasant. But just ahead is the Mutterturm, or Mother Tower. Looks like a very small castle. Its design is it's quite incredible. It was built in 1877. By a man called Hubert von Herkomer. He was a local writer, he was a poet, musician, and he built it in memory of his mother, who died in 1877. But Hubert was also a pioneer of automobile racing here in Germany, and there's a little museum about him as well. But this path leads a little further towards the weir. I can hear the sound of the water, and this delightful little bridge just ahead, and there is the weir. Gosh, the town looks so different from this angle. Turn the camera around. Absolutely fantastic. There's some little gardens just here as well. Let's have a walk through these little gardens and up to the house, up to the tower. I call it a tower because it is a tower. Really rather pleasant. Oh, there's another little bridge here as well. This is lovely, absolutely lovely. And at the end of the bridge, there's a statue to Hubert von Herkomer, 1849 to 1914. Inscription at the bottom, a man of many parts. He certainly was. Absolutely wonderful. These are lovely little gardens here. Nice little streams leading into the main river. And another little wooden bridge. Absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. The stonework is on the outside is it's incredible, it really is. So elaborate and so ornate. What an amazing front door. And there's a plaque to Hubert von Herkomer and the Automobile Sports Club of Germany and the Mutterturm engraved into this stonework. Gosh, this is absolutely lovely. It really is. And the Herkomer Museum. This is really rather interesting. And there's a, well, that's interesting. It's a picture of a knight on his horse slaying a dragon. I wonder if that's a reference to Magnus. He was a 9th century saint from Fusen, and he was reportedly a dragon slayer. But there we go, that's absolutely delightful here. Absolutely lovely. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. And the sun is still shining. But, oh, there's another little building just on the other side of the museum. Let's go and take a look at that. Looks like a little chapel, but it's not. It's a wash house. Wash house. It looks like a chapel. That's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. Let's have a look at that. There you go, turn around. Little wash house. There we go. Fairy tale little castle. Castle tower. Castellated tower. But now let's head on up to the prison. And I'll tell you a story about Adolf Hitler. Just a short walk up from the river is Landsberg prison. Now, I can't go in there. Well, I could if I commit a crime, because it's actually a working prison. Today it focuses on training and rehabilitation. The prison was built back in 1910, but in 1924 the prison held its most famous resident, a man called Adolf Hitler. Yes, the very same man. He was imprisoned here for 264 days, and it's in this prison that he wrote his book, Mein Kampf, or My Fight, as it translates into English. And while he was in there, he was incarcerated with several other notable people, all of whom would go on to play a pivotal role in the rise of Nazi Germany and the Third Reich. They were Emil Maurice, Hermann Kriebel, Friedrich Weber and Rudolf Hess. But what I've come to see is not actually the prison, it's actually the Friedhof, the cemetery just up the road, Spottinger Friedhof, in the grounds of St. Ulrich's Church, because it contains some very interesting graves. And these are the graves of the executed men from Landsberg prison, who committed the worst atrocities it's possible to commit by anybody. So let's go and take a look. And this is the Spottinger Friedhof, the cemetery here in Landsberg. Now, this cemetery contains the graves of 288 German war criminals who were executed inside the prison between 1945 and 1946 for their part in the Holocaust and other crimes. This cemetery contains the graves of the worst human beings who have ever lived. Now, I visited World War II graves throughout England in churchyards and Commonwealth graveyards throughout Europe and in other countries as well. But this graveyard is interesting. It's interesting not because of the people who lie here, but because of the way the cemetery is laid out and the simple crosses, all of them identical, the occupants unknown. Really is very interesting being here. Is it right that these people should have individual graves when the people they are responsible for killing were buried in mass graves, several thousand in each? I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions and the answer to that question. Also buried here is a man called Martin Gottfried Weiss. I've no idea which grave is his. He was the former commandant at Majdanek and commandant of Dachau from 1942 to 1945. And he was executed at Landsberg prison on the 29th of May 1946 by the hangman John Chris Woods. As the black bag was put over his head, he uttered the words, "Ich sterbe für Deutschland," I die for Germany. And with those words, he fell to the end of the rope. Just one of many people buried here for their crimes against humanity. There's also another grave somewhere here. It's occupied by a man called Peter Chemi. He was a Polish national liberated from the concentration camps by the Americans in May 1945. He wandered around Germany a little lost, unsure as what to do and where to go. But on a snowy winter's evening in 1945, he found refuge in a house with a kind German family, a husband, a wife and a daughter. They showed him kindness, gave him food, drink, shelter and a bed for the night. He found a hatchet and murdered them as they slept. He was tried for his crimes and sentenced to be executed by firing squad in January 1947. A despicable act of murder. Been walking around here for a few minutes and I feel a little uneasy walking in the presence of those who lie here. Normally I visit a military cemetery, a war cemetery. I feel admiration for those who have sacrificed their lives for others, and it's a privilege to walk where they lie. Even walking through German cemeteries of ordinary soldiers who, just like Allied soldiers, fought for their country and showed the same bravery towards their country as Allied soldiers showed to the Allied nations. But it's unnerving walking through here I don't feel any peace at all, and I'm a little lost for words. However, the chapel itself is absolutely beautiful. There's been a chapel here since 735 AD, although the current building, I believe, dates from 1764. There's a plaque in the cemetery here which says a little bit about the church. There's also a little gravestone behind me as well, which has the initials HA written on the front, and the date of 1785. So there have been a lot of burials here over the years, but unfortunately it's the more recent burials from 1946 which dominate this churchyard. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Tomorrow I'm off to Dachau, an old medieval town just north of Munich. I'm going to explore the town and hopefully look at the castle as well. And on Monday, well, I'm going to go to the memorial, to the concentration camp there in Dachau. So that's all to look forward to coming up on my channel over the next few days. But this is where I end this video. I hope some of you haven't been offended by the words that I've used walking through the cemetery, but this is a story that should be told. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow my journey, because there's a lot of history and a lot more adventures to come on my Bavarian trip. Thanks for watching.